All right, we're up to step 4 of this clear method to become more persuasive. We did C, calm emotions. We did L, look for small agreements. Last episode, we did E, express shared values. Now we're going to open the door to problem solving. Notice we haven't even done problem solving and still at step 4, because we're moving from the reactive brain to the thinking brain, and open-ended questions ignite the thinking brain. And demands, judgments, criticisms, defensiveness, that close things down. When I was younger, as a child, my family would go out to dinners, like every other family. But my family was divorced, so I saw a difference between how my dad did it and how my mom did it when I was with her. How my dad did it, he's a foodie. He would spend a lot of time thinking about a restaurant, and he would pick the restaurant with really little input from the kids, me and my sister. And sometimes it was nice, but after a while, it was like overwhelming, these restaurants. They were so not something a kid would really want, and we'd rather just go to California Pizza Kitchen or Pizza Hut than a lot of places he picked. And my mom, on the other hand, was a teacher, and she used to say to us, do you want to go for Mexican or do you want to go for pizza? And that little choice really made us feel ownership, made us feel respected, and it felt easy. And that's where this open-ended question idea comes from. We just like options, even as a kid. So when we're in that reactive state, we're acting basically like children. We're not using our big brain, just a part of it. And we have to get them out of that. So we start the process. I'm going to go review the clear method. We started with calm emotions. It's bringing down the energy, even if it's only 1% better. We're going to look for small agreements, see where we can agree. We're not going to start with things we don't agree. Then we're going to deal with E, express shared values. That's how we're going to start moving, like we're on the same side here. We both want the children to thrive. We both don't want to spend 5 years in a divorce, right? And now the A is asking open-ended questions. So what I want you to think about with this is when you're dealing with this pain, this reaction with arguments, I want you to think of yourself as either a spectator or as a director. When we watch great TV shows, great movies, we are swayed by the emotion. We get upset, we're emotional because we're invested as a spectator, as an audience member. But if we look at it as a director, we look at it very differently. And when you're in these types of situations, the stakes are too high. And you're going to have to rise above, think like a director, and that's going to help you move forward with your divorce and save a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, and also protect your children. So let's put our lawyer hat on. Let's get clear-headed. Let's be tactical and see how this is done. Now, the difference between an open-ended question and a closed-ended question is so important. First of all, a closed-ended question is generally one with a limited, yes or no. It's binary. Like, do you want to go to the Apple store this afternoon? It's like, yes or no. It's like, you didn't really want to go to the Apple store. Maybe you want to hang out with this friend, but an open-ended question is like, hey, do you want to hang out this afternoon? What do you want to do? Or I would like to see you sometime soon. Can we get together and what would you like to do? Open-ended. Okay, see the difference? But when we're in this reactive state, we have to be very careful with our tone. Good relationships, people have positive perspectives about us. In trying times, people have negative perceptions of us. So what we say is going to be filtered through a negative perspective. So you have to be very careful with your tone. Be very gentle as you can be. And don't roll your eyes. Any facial movement, all that's going to be read as negative. Even your arms too. Like my arms are all closed up. I'm like tight. Be relaxed. So say it softly. Hey, I want to hang out with you. Let's get together. What do you want to do? Or do you want to go to the Apple store today at 4? So let's bring this in the divorce world to see how this is done. Okay. So an open-ended question, a closed-ended question on the custody side. It could be, you want 50-50. That's close. Yes or no? Right. Okay. But here, you could say someone says, I want 50-50, and you went through the 3 steps to calm them, and you're trying to get them to think, you're trying to get them to their thinking brain, not reactive. You can say, well, listen, I know you work a lot of time. I know you're so heavily invested in your job, working 80 hours a week, something objective. How do you see the 50-50 working with that time investment in your job? That's just a practical, logistical question. I didn't say, hey, you're working so much, you don't have time for the children. How are you even going to do 50-50? I didn't say that. I'm just curious. I'm wondering how this works. You're doing this right also when the other side pauses. Just a micro pause, because that moves out of a reactive brain into the thinking brain. If they don't pause and they just spew whatever they're going to spew, then you might want to bring it back and say to them, tell me more. Tell me more about that. Because that was like the first draft, not even the first draft. That was like the 0.01 draft. And you got to get them engaged with their bigger brain. All right, so let's go through some objections. So why me? Why me? Well, I appreciate that. And I'm reinforcing how much I appreciate how difficult this is. But the reality is, we're not coming from a victim mentality. We're trying to focus on what we can control, and what we can control is being a leader. And if the other side is reactive, they don't even realize what they're doing. They're acting out. We have to rise above for them, and more importantly, for the children, and also for you. That's how you get a divorce without losing your mind. You're the CEO of your divorce. All right, my core messages: don't make demands, ask open-ended questions that gives ownership, that invites a conversation, a problem-solving conversation where you're on the same side. Let's go through some action steps. You did the C step, calmed emotions. You did the looking for small agreements. You did the E, which is express shared values. Now you're up to step 4. So next time you're through this, see if you can ask an open-ended question and practice. Just practice recording yourself. See how you sound when you're triggered. And do it in front of the mirror. See what you're looking like, or record yourself on your phone. Are you rolling your eyes? Because everything about you is probably like, this is ridiculous. But you have to be in their world if you're going to do this right. All right, so that's it. We did step 4. You come a long way. You are getting more persuasive by the minute. We're going to end next episode with step 5, respond neutrally. And then we're going to do an episode on the scenario lab. We're going to go in depth. We're going to put this all together so you can see how it is in action. And then I'm going to check in with you on the following episode and see how it's going, because this is a different way of dealing with conflict. I'm Corey Shapiro. Let's step forward with clarity together.
This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area.